Yo, it's Guido coming at you with a Tactics Talk. Thanks for tuning in. On this episode, it's yours truly in my Object 430 version 2 in a 357 top tier on Lakeville. Spawned into the north spawn, and this is a good setup for me. At least tier-wise, and this tank is pretty good in cities actually for a medium. It's got that rear turret, so it's not a bad little side scraper, although its side armor isn't crazy. It can bounce a few things. The rear turret helps out with that, and it's got pretty good armor for a medium, so it's not a bad little city fighter. You can see that we're starting to deploy. You got some guys in the middle, some of us headed over towards the city, and then quite a few are actually going to go Valley. Let's talk Valley real quick. We've got the new update 1.0. Valley is a little bit easier to get through. Break, stop going Valley. It still applies. It is not the new meta, especially on Encounter. Because on Encounter, the fact that it is easy or not easy to get through the Valley has nothing to do with the match, because the cap is all the way over in the city. So even if you push through the south to where they spawned, you still have to cross a killing field to get in behind them. Which means what you're relying on is the guys in the town to hold on or win, so you can do your ridiculous little flanking movement and come in behind them maybe and clean them up. But if they win in the city, or at least are neutral and have some guys posted up down the south, you get massacred trying to come across. Alright, so that hasn't changed. The meta is still head into the city with the mostest, the firstest. Get there the firstest with the mostest, which is actually a quote attributed to, I can't remember, it's one of the Confederate generals. Although when I looked into it, it also says it's potentially not his quote. The idea is something that he had, although it's not really that amazing of an idea from a military standpoint. What you want to do is get to the critical terrain first with the most. Pretty much that is it, right? Firepower. Look at all those rocks going everywhere. So I'm going to post up on this corner right here. There's a couple things about this now. There's actually a little bush, not the one in front of me, but the one I'm backing into right now, which affords a little bit of cover as far as covering yourself up when they try to come around the corner of the church there. I'll show you what I mean in just a minute. This rock wall is lower. Excuse me. See, I shoot it down, it kind of breaks down weird, and then it disappears. But what I don't know is if any of that rubble is actually still has hitboxes on it, or if once you hit it, that rubble's gone. Visually, it's kind of hard to tell because it's still sitting in front of you. So that's something I need to look at. That would be interesting. And then they just sort of fade away, which is also odd, but there you go. Whether that has any kind of impact on gameplay, I don't know. It's something I'm looking at right now. Enough of that from the graphic standpoint. Take a look at what we got going on. Our object, our super, our low, our T-34, a good portion of our heavy hitters, now being followed up by the Su-122-44, are all headed into town. Sorry, not town, into the valley. Holy cow. I only wish they were headed into town. There's me, a couple tier 7s with the IS lagging behind, a scout, a T-30 posting way in the back with an AT-15A, both great guns that I could use up here in the town. So you will see that I am extra cautious. All I can do now is try to pick at these guys and see if we can keep them from capping. And I'm going to be quite honest with you, right here in this part of the game, I was highly agitated. And I am essentially just going to sit here and see if they make a mistake, because pushing aggressively at this point is just not really a good idea. I can see that I only see the Patriot, the 3002, and a couple smaller tanks. And I don't see any of their tier 9s guarding their valley over there. So my concern is they're in the town here. And the last thing I want to do is get exposed, overextended, and massacred by their tier 9s. I see the 54E1 is on the middle, so I have a reasonable expectation he's not around here, but mostly concerned with the Conqueror and the T-30. Where are those guys? Alright, so there's one on cap. They've at least filtered one guy through there. I'm just kind of coming around trying to look for these guys. There we go. There's the Conqueror. He's taken a hit at some point. I assume it was crossing across the middle when we had some scouts over there. A Defender, alright, that's problematic. I'm going to have issues with him as well. Heat in here used to be real difficult. There was a lot of rubble and posts and things. As you can see, it's very cleaned up. So heat should not be as big an issue. That low rock wall I mentioned if you have a tall enough tank and you're a heat shooter, you'll be able to shoot right over that rock wall. That's one of the reasons I actually had to shoot it down right there. If I wanted to use heat, I needed it gone. There is a little car there and some other things, but it is much cleaner in amongst the church right there. So we filtered our guys up a little bit. I'm trying to find out where they are. There we go. There's that guy. I've got to go high because that bloody car is there. And here's where that bush comes into play. I've been spotted. Comes around right into him. Now, I don't know if he still saw me, but I have a feeling maybe he didn't. He is looking where I was. Now he's looking over there. And that could just be a case of he selected the IS to shoot at, and I was able to pop back out. So this one bears further watching. Come in there and see if that bush allows you to actually pop out and take shots unobserved. Now I've got the Tiger II coming down here. I'm going to go after his top of his turret, which I can't quite get to. I'm having a problem with the aim here. Completely missed. That's just bad gunnery on my part. But here they are. They've got 3 on cap. Now let's talk about this a little bit more. I was agitated, highly agitated right here. Let's see if I get him. Nope, I'm going to bounce off his turret. And the IS does what I probably should have done myself. He pushes in, and basically he's going to save the game. Right? He gets in there, puts a hit on somebody. They don't cap out, and he ends up dying. So MVP of the game to the IS for getting in there and making that happen. Our T-30 has finally moved up, and there you go, the guys that are flanking. So, holy cow, they faced not much opposition. They had a lot less power there than they had, and it is minute 10:20. So we've been at this thing 4 minutes and 40 seconds. Math in public. 4 minutes and 40 seconds. And they have only just come around the corner with what is pretty much an overwhelming force. They should have been around the corner probably faster, but even so, just the drive time and a little bit of fighting has cost us that much time, and we're basically down. And I'll be honest, we're lucky in this town that we didn't all get rolled up. If those guys had just filtered around that church and come at us, they would have eaten us alive. As it was, they're attempting to cap on the back end of the church, and that allows us to live and get a few snipes in there. And once again, back kudos to Rofgen in the IS, Rofgen 2014. Basically saved the game. I was being salty, just kind of sitting there and not doing anything. And at this point, when I saw him do that, I'm like, all right, we need to try to make this happen. You can see that the guys that pushed across are now getting shot at by the dudes who fell back. The red guys that fell back. They can be shot at from the bottom of the town. They can be shot at from the middle if they go too far to the east. And of course the VK and the SU can shoot at them as well. I'll come in here and get rid of that. That was a big kill. We needed that T-30 out of there. I'm worried about the Conqueror, who appears to be using the small gun, thank goodness. That's giving me a little bit of issue with timing on his shots once he comes around. I didn't really realize it initially that he's using the small gun. Puts a 330, he's right in, right back at me. Bounce off that as well. Bounce that one. And there's that side scraping capability of the 430. It's not a heavy level kind of side scraper, but not bad. But he's kind of tearing me up right there, even with the side scraping. And this is not looking great. We've just got to hold on. I'm really hoping these guys who did all this flanking can get in here and do something for me. There you go. There's a little bounce from the T-25-2. I figured the defender would just come around the corner and kill me off. But now he's trying to side scrape, and that's fine. The longer I can stay alive here, the better. That was a mistake. I should have tucked in and right instead of trying to get back like that. I put the front end of my tank out where he can get it, and now I'm just defensive crouch. I figure the jig is up. I'm dead any moment now. The AT turned around, so he's causing issues. He actually gets a bounce right here, so good on him. T-25-2 is being foolish. Go right into his front sprocket. Down he goes. That 15A has a really fast reload, so I'm just hoping he can hang on as long as he can. And where are we now? We're at 8:19. We're still in a big scrum for the city, and look at the flanker guys. They're still not anywhere near where they can help. And I hope that's a great illustration for everyone who believes. If you watch my channel if you've watched my channel for any length of time, I hope you still don't believe this. But if you do, or you're new to the channel, and you think that flank move through the valley is useful, I hope this point in the game and what's happened here illustrates once and for all, clearly and effectively, that it is just a stupid move. All right. And to a large extent, just some heroics on the part of a couple players have kept this game from completely going to crap. I got that 3002D. I don't want to back out and let him get side shots. I thought about actually taking a shot there, but he was ducking up into the other lane there, and we're starting to filter in and take him on. I'm just going to kind of no respect. Ouch, Conqueror. I was going to come around and go after that T-71. I'd forgotten about the Conqueror, so thank goodness he didn't actually put any damage on me, because that allows me to come around, bounce that shot, and even had he pinned, I'd have been fine. Now I got the 3002. He puts a shot on me. I'm able to eat it with a track. Put a shot on him, take him down. And the 257's really excited. He's cheering us on. Why? Because he died going Valley like a complete noob. And there you go. The meta on Lakeville is essentially the same. Not a big change. The fact that you can get through the valley a little easier now does not make it a good idea whatsoever, especially on Encounter. I will say that on normal mode, there is a slight argument for it if it's done well. But really on Encounter, it is just a completely and utterly worthless move. And you're just relying on the guys in town to save your bacon. Really, the IS started it. Had he not done what he did, we would have just lost to a cap. And I'll be honest, I was salty enough at that point, I didn't care. I was probably just going to let it happen, see if I could shoot him, but I certainly wasn't going to drive out and die, and good on him for doing that. And then once I got my, once I stopped my crying and got in there and started fighting, we were able to hold these guys off. All right, guys, hope you learned something with this. If you did, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Keep on supporting the channel, sending in those replays, and we will see you.